My name is Jason. I live in a suburb of Los Angeles with my wife Katherine and our Labrador buddy. We moved here a few years ago to be closer to Katherine's mother, Linda, who lives in the neighboring house. Linda is an amazing woman. In her early 60s, she is full of energy and zest for life. Her main passion is gardening. Every time I visit her, I admire her well-kept garden, full of flowers and colors. A few weeks ago, Katherine decided to visit her sister, who lives in another state. Before leaving, she asked me to help Linda with the design of the garden in the backyard. "Jason, I know how much you love tinkering with plants," she said, smiling. "Maybe you could keep Mom company while I'm gone? She's been dreaming of renovating her garden for a long time." I readily agreed. I myself enjoyed spending time outdoors, working with my hands, and helping Linda was a real pleasure. She had always been kind to me and treated me like a son. On the day of Katherine's departure, I took her to the airport, hugged her tightly goodbye, and promised that Linda and I would create a real miracle in her garden by the time she returned. Katherine laughed, kissed me, and set off on her journey. When I got home, I called Linda and told her I was ready to start our joint project. She was overjoyed and suggested meeting the next morning to discuss the details. I went to bed in anticipation of interesting work and spending time with Linda. We had always gotten along well, and I felt that these days would be special for both of us. In the morning, I came to Linda's house, bringing some tools and gardening gloves with me. She greeted me at the doorstep with a radiant smile and a warm hug. "Jason, I'm so glad you agreed to help me," she exclaimed, leading me to the backyard. "I have so many ideas. I can't wait to share them with you." We settled at the garden table and started planning. Linda took out a notebook where she had sketches and lists of plants that she wanted to include in the updated garden design. "What do you think about creating a rose garden here?" she asked, pointing to a free area near the fence. "Roses have always been my favorite flowers, and I dream of a whole alley of different varieties." "Great idea, Linda," I supported. "Roses will look beautiful and fill the garden with fragrance. What if we add a few bushes of lavender to them? They will create a nice contrast and attract butterflies." Linda's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. We started discussing different options, complementing and developing each other's ideas. Time flew by, and soon we had a detailed plan for the future garden. We got to work with fervor. First, we prepared the soil by removing weeds and adding fertilizer. Then we started planting roses, lavender, jasmine, geraniums. Linda turned out to be a great partner, hardworking and cheerful. As we worked, we talked a lot. Linda told me about her childhood on the farm, where she first became interested in gardening, about her late husband, and how they had set up this house together. I shared my own stories, recalling my wedding with Katherine and our plans for the future. We laughed, joked, and teased each other. The atmosphere was light and relaxed. I felt our friendship and understanding growing stronger. When the sun began to set, we decided to take a break. Linda suggested having a glass of homemade lemonade and enjoying the sunset. We settled on the terrace, savoring the cool drink and the fruits of our labor. "You know, Jason," Linda said suddenly, looking at me with tenderness, "I'm so grateful to you, not only for helping with the garden, but for your friendship all these years. You've become a real son to me." I was touched by her words. Covering her hand with mine, I replied, "It's an honor for me to be a part of your family, Linda. You and Katherine are my home, my support. I will always be there for you." We finished our lemonade, admiring the sunset colors and quietly rejoicing in our closeness. I didn't know yet that these moments would be the beginning of something more, something that would change our lives forever. Over the next few days, Linda and I continued to work on the garden. Every morning I would come to her, and together we would come up with new ideas, plant flowers, and trim bushes. Our friendship grew stronger with each day, and I started to notice that my admiration for Linda was growing into something more. I admired the way she enthusiastically talked about her favorite plants, the way her eyes shone when she looked at the results of our work. Her passion for gardening was contagious, and I felt myself starting to see the world through her eyes, noticing the beauty in every flower, in every leaf. One day, when we were finishing a particularly tough day, Linda suggested celebrating our success with a glass of wine on the terrace. We settled into the wicker chairs, sipping cool Chardonnay and admiring the sunset. "Jason, I can't say enough how much your help means to me, Linda said, turning to me. This garden is my long-time dream, and I'm so glad to share it with you. I looked into her shining eyes and felt my heart fill with warmth. I should be the one thanking you, Linda, for sharing your dream with me, for teaching me to see beauty in simple things. You are my inspiration. Our eyes met, and time suddenly stood still. There was tension in the air, almost palpable. Slowly, as if in a dream, I leaned towards Linda and touched her lips with mine. The kiss was gentle, almost weightless, but it seemed to awaken a long-hidden desire in both of us. With a soft moan, Linda pulled me to her, and our kiss deepened, became more passionate. We kissed, forgetting about everything in the world. Hands roamed each other's bodies, caressing, exploring. At some point, we found ourselves in the bedroom, tearing each other's clothes off, desperately wanting to become one. Making love to Linda, I felt like I had found something I had been missing all my life. Our intimacy was so natural, so right, that all doubts and fears dissolved without a trace. Later, lying in each other's arms, we were silent, realizing what had happened. I understood that we had crossed a line, that our relationship would never be the same again. But I didn't feel guilty, only boundless tenderness and gratitude to this amazing woman. The next morning, Linda and I woke up in each other's arms. She looked at me with tenderness, but I also saw anxiety in her eyes. Jason, what happened yesterday? It was beautiful, but we both understand that it shouldn't happen again, she said quietly. We have families, obligations. We can't hurt them. I knew she was right. As much as I wanted to be with her, I couldn't betray Katherine, couldn't ruin our marriage. Taking Linda's hand, I nodded. You're right, Linda. What's between us is special, but we can't allow ourselves more. Let's keep these memories in our hearts and continue living as before. We hugged, putting all our love and sadness into this embrace, knowing we had to let each other go. Then we got up and started a new day, knowing that our secret would stay with us forever. In the following days, Linda and I continued working on the garden, trying to act as if nothing had happened. We still laughed and talked, but avoided any hints of what had occurred. Only sometimes our eyes would meet, and in them, we saw a reflection of our true feelings. The work on the garden was coming to an end. We planted the last flowers, trimmed the last bushes. Admiring the fruits of our labor, we hugged, realizing that this embrace was both a reward and a farewell. Thank you, Jason, Linda whispered, pressing against me. For everything, for your help, for your love. I will never forget it. Neither will I, Linda, I replied, kissing the top of her head. You will forever remain in my heart. I promise I will take care of our garden and our secret. We loosened our embrace and smiled at each other through tears. Then I left, taking a part of her soul with me and leaving a part of mine with her. Katherine returned 2 days later. Seeing our renovated garden, she was delighted. Mom, Jason, you've done an amazing job, she exclaimed, looking at the blooming flower beds and neat paths. It's a real paradise. Linda and I glanced at each other and smiled, remembering our joint work and moments of intimacy. But we only thanked Katherine for her kind words and suggested celebrating the completion of the project with a family dinner. Sitting at the table next to my wife and mother-in-law, I felt at peace. We laughed, shared news, made plans for the future. Looking at the happy faces of the women dear to me, I realized that I had done the right thing by keeping our secret. After dinner, helping Linda clear the dishes, I touched her hand and whispered, "Thank you for everything, Linda. I will never forget these days and what was between us." She looked at me with tenderness and sadness. Neither will I, Jason. But remember, we have our garden, a symbol of our love. Let's cherish it and our secret, like the most precious treasure. I nodded, squeezing her hand. We finished cleaning up and joined Katherine in the living room. Life returned to its usual course, but I knew that my soul had changed forever. Now, every time I walk in our garden, I remember those special days and the amazing woman who taught me to love truly. Our story remained a secret, a cherished memory, but it changed me forever, made me better and wiser. I learned to value every moment of life, every flower in our garden. I became more attentive to Katherine, trying to be the best husband and friend to her. Our marriage blossomed like our garden, thanks to the experience I gained with Linda. Linda and I continued to communicate as good friends and close relatives. At family celebrations and gatherings, we exchanged knowing smiles, knowing that we were connected by something more than just kinship. But we sacredly kept our secret, not allowing it to cloud our relationships with loved ones. Years passed, and our garden became more and more beautiful. Every spring it bloomed with a riot of colors, reminding me of those days when Linda and I worked on creating it. I brought my children there, telling them about the beauty of nature and how important it is to cherish what you have. Looking at the blooming roses and fragrant lavender, I remembered that special moment of intimacy with Linda. But I didn't grieve over what might have been. I was grateful that this amazing woman had entered my life. Our story could have been the plot of a novel or a movie, a story of forbidden love, secret meetings, and emotional turmoil. But for me, it was a story about how love can change a person, even if it can't be fully realized. In the meantime, I just lived, loved my family, and kept the memory of that special woman and our secret garden in my heart. Our story taught me that love comes in different forms. Sometimes it comes only for a moment to change us forever. Sometimes it remains a secret, a cherished memory. But it always makes us better if we allow it into our hearts. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.